Hello, dear students. Today it's my pleasure to present you our instructor, Michael Gabriel. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Nadia.
Michael is our instructor for the training CCNA. CCNA is a Cisco course, and the full name of this course is Implementing and Administrating Cisco Solutions. So, Michael, please tell about yourself for our students. How many years have you been working in IT industry?
Yes, Nadia. So, I'm Michael Gabriel, and I am from Chennai, which is the southern part of India. And since my graduation in electrical engineering, I had the opportunity to work in the IT industry, specializing in networking domain. And I was part of the Network Operations Center, and I was part of a team who basically was responsible for deploying, installing infrastructure devices like routers, switches, firewalls, etc., and access points. And I've been working in that environment for quite a while, and I've got close to 15 years of experience in this domain.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk now about CCNA course. How do you think is this course popular nowadays?
I wrote my CCNA in 2007. This course certainly is not something that's a newbie on the market. It's been there for quite a while. It's been there at least for a decade or more. But that doesn't stop it from being popular now. What I'm trying to say is that we are talking about networking, and networking has evolved. It has gone from campus to cloud. It has gone from hardware centric to software centric. But still, the basics, the knowledge, those aspects is very critical. And I think that's the reason why CCNA is still popular across the globe.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And according to your personal observations, what is the demand for such professional? Is it high, low, or maybe rising?
Certainly it's on the rise. Certainly it's on the rise. I will not say that this is the only course that will help an individual fetch a job. But today we are talking about a term or a job role termed as hybrid engineers in IT, where somebody needs to know a little bit about networking systems, and they also need to know about programming and scripting. So having said that, the one part of that, which is your networking systems, is being taken care by this course. So it's obvious that that one part has to be fulfilled by taking up this course. And certainly this course is a stepping stone towards moving to the next level. Maybe after this, doing a scripting course or doing some specific software related courses associated with the organization will certainly help.
Mm-hmm. Let's tell more details about the course. For example, what topics will be covered, what practical exercises it will include.
Sure. Primarily, this course is laid in such a manner that somebody who is new to networking will find themselves to fit into this course. They'll be able to rightly fit into this course. So the major topics I would say that we would be covering in this course are starting from the basics of networking. We start with the basic question, what is a network? Then we go ahead and talk about the OSI model, which is a very important reference point for defining how the data communication takes place on that. And then following that, it's primarily more oriented towards data networking components like routers and switches. We deal with switches initially, do a little bit of initial configuration on the layer 2 Cisco switches. Followed by that, we go to the internet layer, network layer, where we deal with routing and talk about routers, what is a routing table, routing configurations, And apart from that, we also touch base on some concepts relating to deploying a medium-sized network, for example, VLANs, uh, Ether channel, spanning tree protocols. Then you got your you got these other routing technologies like OSPF, access control list, firewall on the router, NAT. And one important add-on this new version has brought in is programmability. And that is what I was just saying, the concept of hybrid engineer comes in. So somebody who is into networking will also need to know how you can run a network through a program. And that introduction is given as part of this topic. So I'd say these are the major topics. Most of the labs will be oriented on the router and switch CLI configuration. We will be doing labs that relates to configuring specific protocols like OSPF, configuring your VLANs, then configuration of Ether channel, configuring your basics on the routers and switches, etc. So these are some major labs that we'll be covering while in the course. There'll be around 20 to 30 labs covered.
Mm-hmm. So as we talk about labs, let's please share your screen and show some examples of exercises that students will be working on during the course.
Sure. So let me share my screen. So somebody who takes up this course will get access to Cisco Learning Lab credentials, a username and a password. And once they log in, they should be able to see a portal like this. This is not the exact one. I'm just showing a demo. So you should be able to get something like this where the user will have to click on to start the lab. These labs are real labs in the sense that they would be having real routers and switches running in the background. And it takes a little while to do the initialization. So you can see that it says the lab is currently queued. The time, it takes a little while, maybe a few minutes, and then we should see the lab coming up. And once we are on the lab, then we can get started with the configuration. There are lab guides to support the student who can do those labs. I can see the lab is ready now. I just click on it. And here we go. We have the lab access. And if you want to have a look at the topology, we can click on the topology. We should be able to see the topology as well. And from the topology point, one has to just click on the respective device to get started. For example, if I want to configure something on SW1, we can just click on it and it takes us to the CLI. And from the CLI, one has to probably execute the required tasks to complete the objective of that particular lab. I think I don't want to go more technical on this, but I think this is just the high level of how the labs could be accessed by the students. So this is just a small demo to maybe create some curiosity.
There is important thing that usually our students ask. It's about are the labs available after the training? For example, they finish the training and want to practice by their own. Is it possible in this course?
Of course, this CCNA course has a lab access for it's actually a 60 hours lab. So what happens is normally during this course, which is actually 40 hours, student might be working for, I'm just saying a tentative number, it's not an exact number. Student should be normally working for 30 hours of lab. So after the course is over, they should be tentatively getting an extra 30 hours of lab, which they can use for practice. That's my personal opinion. But I feel that over a period of my experience as a Cisco instructor, I've seen that students used to have that extra 30 hours. But this cannot be guaranteed always, because if a student uses the lab more during the course, then they end up not having that many hours of course. So totally it should be 60 hours, but depends on the usage.
Good. So do you have something else to show, or we can stop sharing?
I think that's it. That's good from my side.
Thank you. Okay, So I will ask about the prerequisites for this course. What should our potential student already have in order to get the most from this course? What skills and knowledge?
Actually, truth be told, not much of prerequisites required for this course. You need to have basic operating system knowledge, maybe just be able to access your Windows operating system at least, and have some knowledge about internet browsing, because you need to access these labs, right? So you need to know how to access the browser, how to get into the device, some basic IT skills, that should be it. And of course, some initial knowledge on what is IP, some terms that you might have already learned. Maybe there are students who come from college, they would have already had a background in networking. So having that will certainly help. But even if you don't have it, it's perfectly fine. You, as I said, it's a pure course for somebody who is stepping into the world of networking for the first time.
Mm-hmm. And from your personal point of view, what are the core benefits that our Georgian students will get?
So taking an official training from Cisco, it helps the students to gain first-hand knowledge of exactly what that course is about to deliver, especially if somebody is planning for the certification. Because this course, the content that the official training offers is the exact content that is mapped with the exam syllabus. And once somebody completes this course, they are good to understand the basics, apply this knowledge, and moreover, help them to validate this knowledge by taking the exam and passing it. That's something that this course is able to offer, from my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. So what is the certificate that they will get? Maybe it has some specific name or something.
So they would be getting the CCNA certification, it is Cisco Certified Network Associate, and they would be getting this, the certificate on passing the international certification exam.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And let's talk more about the structure of exam. Are there only multiple choice questions or something else?
It's something that I'm not very sure about, but generally based on experience and previous students, updates and stuff like that, I know there are multiple choice questions. And there would be sometimes drag and drop questions, more or less like match the following. And you will also be having sometimes questions which will be subjective, meaning it would be like a simulation, wherein you might be asked to configure some parameters, like maybe I have to configure an access control list on the router, or I have to configure OSPF on the router and do the verifications if it is working. And there is another type called as a simlet type, which means that one has to log into the device, fetch some verification, do some verification, and based on the verification, answer the questions. Like it's more like a comprehension type questions.
Mm-hmm. So it's a bit practical.
So there will be some 5 questions given. But to yeah, it's practical, absolutely practical. There'll be some 5 questions, but to answer those questions, you need to get in and be able to use the correct verification command so that you will be able to answer them. Mm-hmm. That's how it is.
How do you think is this?
I think these are the major categories.
Mm-hmm. How do you think, is this course enough to prepare for exam, or maybe students should give some time to read some materials instead of course, like something more to this course?
Yep. So the content that is given in this course material is more than sufficient to pass the exam.
That's
but maybe
good.
If students want more practice, they can probably purchase a Cisco Press book, which is an official book that is written for CCNA. It is available on the internet, but my suggestion is that this course and the labs, by practicing the labs once or twice, they should be very good to take up this exam.
How do you think how this certification will help students in their professional career?
Uh, See, certifications, generally, when we talk about certifications, what do? They are like a passport to your interview, right? Of course, if I say I'm going to have 10 candidates in my 10 candidates who have applied for a job, and let us say out of that, 2 or 3 candidates only have the CCNA certificate. Certainly, they have an edge. The reason is not because they have completed the CCNA, but the interviewer knows that they are inclined in this particular job role. But if I applied for a networking position, or I applied for a system admin role, and I have not have any certification associated with that, and I'm also a fresher, especially, then it is going to be very difficult for me to convince the interviewer saying that, yeah, I'm very interested in this. Can you recruit me? Can you hire me? But that CCNA certificate in the resume or the CV should certainly add value for the candidate, because the candidate will not need to explain that he is oriented in this job profile. He is certainly oriented. That's why he took so much effort to do this course, take the exam. It's not so easy, right? You almost have to dedicate some 2 to 3 months of preparation. So certainly doing this course, validating yourself as a Cisco certified network associate will help you move towards your career as a network engineer.
Good. What job positions are suitable for specialists who just completed such kind of course?
When I answered this question in long back in 2012, when I was an instructor in a private institute here in India, I used to say that it was more hardware centric. Like we used to have people who would be IT technicians who would have to go to a particular location to deploy or install and configure a router and a switch, or maybe a NOC team where they will be part of a infrastructure management service group, who will be managing, who will be monitoring, who will be taking reports and regularly providing them to the top level management for further analysis and so on. But with today's situation, I'm talking about 10 years down the line, I see a lot of other opportunities also. I see opportunities with people who have some knowledge in software to go into more oriented towards scripting. There are requirements for network testing, protocol testing roles that are coming up. And somebody who is into development also needs to know networking. So it is becoming very cross-functional these days. But having said that, the general job roles that you get post this course would be certainly number one, network engineer. Number two, technical support. You can assist people to troubleshoot your devices in case if they face a problem. And three, as I said, the IT technician roles, and maybe yeah, I think network engineer in itself, there'll be so many small roles, but I'm just giving the general big picture. Network engineer means you will be ready to deploy, install, configure your routers and switches, manage them, monitor them, troubleshoot them. That's the major role for which somebody should attempt post this training and certification.
Mm-hmm. Can you share your story when you were in the beginning of your career, how such certification and learning helped you to upgrade?
Certainly, I would be happy to do that. So I completed my graduation in 2006. I did my engineering, electrical engineering, and I was clueless about networking then. So I was more oriented towards power systems and all those stuff, which was more related to that electrical industry. But having said that, I had some inclination towards these PLCs, SCADA devices, for which somebody told me that you need to know networking to understand these better. Then I thought, okay, let me learn networking. While learning networking, I found that this was like something that was close to my heart rather than electrical engineering. So then I thought, let me switch over here. And I didn't complete any certificate during that time. But lucky for me, I got a similar organization that matched my requirement. And I was able to step in as a fresher. I was able to get that job. I was in the part of that NOC team, helping organizations, supporting their infrastructure and all those stuff. And in the process, I was able to complete my Cisco certifications, the CCNA, and I did my CCNP after that. And I felt that rather than, over a particular period of time, I felt that rather than doing these configurations, I found that the ability to explain the technical terms better, I found that to be my cup of tea. So then I decided, let me become a network instructor. And then I started to pursue my dream. And that's why I'm here. I'm a CCSI and my number is 33563. So,
what was the year when you started to train people?
I did long back. I started in 2009. I kind of did my industrial experience. I got my industrial experience for maybe 2.5 years. Then I came back to networking. Then I again went into the infrastructure again, because I wanted to make sure that I get a little bit more industrial knowledge. And then I realized at one point that yes, I've got enough industrial experience at this level, and I think I'm good to deliver this to people and make their lives more fruitful, their career more fruitful, and that's why.
That's very, very good. And if we talk about career, if we take a student that just completed CCNA course, which can be the next step for his or her? Is it maybe next some course of Cisco or something else?
Today, having a Cisco course will certainly help to get a job. But once you are on the job, you may need to be good with multiple facets or multiple tasks, if especially you are recruited as a system admin or a network engineer role. And that depends on the role. For example, if you're a system admin, you will have more access to applications and you will have more access to servers. So in that case, my recommendation to those people who get recruited into as a system admin should focus more on operating system learning, like Microsoft or Linux. That will be added. That will be an add-on value. And having basic knowledge on some server configurations, like your DHCP, DNS, Active Directory configurations in Windows, Linux servers, and so on. If going in as a network engineer, one might need to understand what is the organization's requirements. The CCNA is like a base on top of which you can learn anything. So from CCNA, we can step on to the next level, like CCNP, go for a core networking professional course, or go for security course. There's a CCNP security as well. Or there are so many other tracks in Cisco itself, like you have the CCNP data center, which is today very popular in the market because data center is critical. And we have even CCNA DevNet, the one that I was talking more, the one that is more oriented towards the future, the software-defined networking. So there are so many avenues to think about. This depends on how the student feels like where they want to go in, and probably what job role they land in. That will decide how they want to move further.
Will our student be able to contact you after the course? I mean, maybe you have some groups on how you communicate with students after the course.
Well, I provide my personal email address. This is just one easy way to contact if they want to have more questions. So I'm there always. I think that should be good enough from my side.
Thank you very much, Michael, for your time, for telling us your story. It was really very interesting, and I hope today's interview will help our students to decide even to apply for this course or not. So thank you very much, and see you in our course. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nadia. It was a wonderful session. I really appreciate this, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.